Looking back at your prelim task, what do you feel you have learnt in the progression from it to the full product? Mike, how has the prelim benefited your final piece?
Well, I've learned about the importance of continuity error, and that me as an editor, I needed to be careful about what I put in the shot. And I think if there's too many continuity errors, people will recognise it and they wouldn't really enjoy the film like they just did in the beginning. And
Rymel, do you agree that continuity error has a major effect on your final piece?
Yeah. Like, I feel that there's continuity errors in the final piece, then obviously we'll get graded down, and plus the opening wouldn't be enjoyable because it would look like it hadn't been done by professionals and etc.
Jodie, do you agree?
Yeah, I think we learnt a lot from the prelim task. In our prelim task, there was actually a continuity error that we didn't realise it was there until we'd finished editing it together. There was a shot of Dion's ID badge in the prelim, and that's a continuity error. And in our final piece, we filmed the interrogation scene over 2 days. And the first day, the footage was really light, and the second day it was quite dark. And we couldn't mix these two footages together, so we had to reshoot the scene. So yeah, we also learnt throughout our final piece.
Yeah, I agree. And during the prelim, I think the time was really crucial, as we didn't have much time to shoot the prelim. We had an hour during our media lesson, so it made us more aware that when we actually come to do our final piece, that we have to spend more time, even though it's only 2 weeks we had to film and then a week to edit. But because we spent so much time filming, our time in to edit was reduced, so we couldn't edit as well as we could have done if we spent less time filming. But I think overall the editing wasn't affected as much as we thought it would be. Jodie?
In the prelim, I was the actress, and I was also the actress in our final piece. But in the prelim, I laughed a lot and I was mucking about, and I didn't take it as seriously. And I think I had to take it more seriously in the final piece as we were running on a short time schedule. And yeah.
Yeah, also as director, I had to make sure that everything was to plan, and we also had to make sure that we had all the shots that we needed to, and we had to follow the brief. And I think the brief was extremely important in the prelim as well as the final task, because it gave us a guideline of what shots to include, like the 180-degree rule and shot of a shot and the eye level match and all that, and match on action, I think.
Yeah.
So I think all of that was really important, so that the brief helped us to know what to include. And yeah, I think it was overly good.
I think we stuck more to our brief in the final piece than we did with our prelim, because in our prelim we didn't demonstrate the 180 rule, did we?
No, and I think that made us realise that it's important to include it, because it does impact on the final piece, and you can lose marks for not following the brief. So I think when it came to doing our final piece, we made sure we looked at the brief and we tried to include as much of the brief as possible as we could into our final piece.
Yeah.
To get them top marks.
and also try visualize our storyboards and what we actually try to intend in the shot, and then I try to do that as an editor. And then, but in the beginning, the first what's it called, prelim? Yeah, I didn't really learn how to use the software properly. But for the second one, I think I tried really hard to try to edit the shot.
Yeah. I think the storyboard and the shot by shot list were very important. They were key. We didn't have them in the prelim task. Well, we had a storyboard, but it wasn't as in depth and in so much detail. But this was really key, as we could see, and it could help all of us, and it could help the director keep us on task.
Yeah, and I think when we was doing the prelim, we had to see how difficult it was to film, as Rymel was the cameraman, so he was the one behind the camera and shooting the scenes. And I think at first it was a bit hard, and I think he gradually learnt how to deal with the camera and how to use the camera, which developed his skills. And I think that his camera skills was really good throughout the final piece. And I think, he developed good skills using the camera. Rymel, do you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you. The prelim task made me more experienced and prepared for the overall end task of our thriller. And basically, I believe that the prelim helped me develop my skills and enabled me to learn more new skills for me to use in the final brief task of the thriller. I learned how to manipulate the camera and how to use the camera effectively in filmmaking, and I also learned that with filming, it's better to have loads of filming than less filming, as when it comes to the editing process of the filming, that it's better to have more filming so you can play around with than less, but then after you're left with no footage, and that was one of the main aspects that I learned in this task.
Jodie, what have you learned across both productions?
I learned that timekeeping is important, but I also learned that we have to stay safe while we're filming and respect people's consent. And this is a big issue for us, as we didn't have consent to film the children in the school for our establishing shot, and we had to go back several times to try and reshoot this. And every time there was either a parent or children there, and we couldn't film it, so we had to meet up in our own time on a Saturday to shoot it, and we shot it there. But that was something I learnt about consent.
Yeah, I learned through both productions that it's not as easy as it seems to just get a camera and start filming. It's a lot of making sure everything's in position, everyone's ready. You have to make sure the camera's on, it's not on night vision. All these little things doesn't seem like a major thing, but it actually is when it comes to filming. So during our prelim, we didn't really experience that because it was located in school, and we didn't really think about how it would be to film outside of school. So I thought the prelim, I thought it would be easy to shoot the final piece, but when it came to actually shooting the final piece, I did realise it was much more difficult. And just filming itself is actually really hard, and I think we had to shoot a lot of scenes over and over again, and it's even when it came to thinking we'll finish and comes to the editing bit, we realised we still had to reshoot some scenes, like the ending scene and the beginning sequence as well. And I think that's really important, and I think, as Jodie and Rymel said, that it's important to have loads of footage regardless. Even if you think it's too much, I think the more the better. And I think that's what I learnt, that there's what's it called it? There's not like nothing, I don't know. It's just like,
it's better to have more than to have less.
Yeah.
And that also helps me, editing out. That helps me, choose from which shots is the best and which one works the best and which one doesn't. And also I've learned how to use the editing software properly to make our film look better. Yeah. And you're just more cinematic.
Using it when we were doing our final piece as well.
Yeah.
And I think we've all learnt how to use Final Cut, because we all spent individual time editing, and we all learnt about sound and how to put things on. So I think it was a good experience for all of us. Yeah,
we all contributed to the editing stage, and we all contributed to filming, and we all took turns in different roles, and I think that was really important, because as a team it's important that everyone has equal roles and that we do split the roles fairly, because it's not fair for someone just to be the editor and no one else be able to help them. To help them. And sometimes editing wasn't as easy as it seems, and it was nice to have someone there to help you regardless of them being the editor
to
or
second
not.
check it. It was good.
If you could improve your final piece, what would you do, Mike?
Editing wise, I would improve the sound, because I think we uploaded the film on YouTube and it was a bit too loud.
Yeah.
So I just would reduce the sound.
We did try to rectify this, but I think it still needs a bit of tweaking.
And we needed to equalise it more, which was a bit of a problem when we had our feedback lesson and we showed it to the rest of the class. That was one issue that was highlighted by our teacher, that the sound needed to be equal, because there was times when there was really loud and really quiet. So I think that's one thing we can improve on. Rymel?
Yeah, I think if I was to do this challenge again, I would improve the planning, because I believe that if we planned more effectively, we wouldn't have really rushed the editing process. We didn't really rush it, but it would have been more smooth. And yeah, that's all I really think, to
in
be
the way
honest.
that we wanted to be intended.
Yeah. And I think, we could improve on our timing yet again. I think because we started filming 2 days after the camera was given to us, we didn't have much time to film, which affected the editing time. But I don't think this was a major problem because we still managed to catch up midweek of filming. But like Rymel said, it was the planning, and we thought it would be, let's get this scene shot in this day, and really it took more than a day to film. So I think the timing, we had to think realistically, which we tried to, but we tried to aim to get everything done in one day so we could have more time to edit. But as getting our camera 2 days later due to effective planning, we was a bit behind.
Yeah.
But,
I think if I could change anything, I would change the interrogation scene, the location of it, because although we were rushed for time, so we had to choose a classroom, and although we did try to make it not look like a classroom, I still felt that it could have been tweaked and worked on a bit more.
Yeah. Overall, I think our final piece was good, and we all contributed well to the final piece, which was extremely important, and I'm fairly pleased with our final piece.
I think it was a success, and I think I learnt a lot from it,
Yeah.
and that we all enjoyed it, and we learnt also not only media skills, we also learnt how to work as a group.
Yeah, patience,
Yeah.
and work as a team, and different roles. But yeah, I was overly pleased.